when we arrived, Ibadan particularly was in a very bad state. Waste was sort of 4 or 5 foot high, piling in the streets. It's still that way sometimes today, but thankfully we're in a process now where we can evacuate it very quickly when we are notified about it or when we see it. But a lot of the challenges were there was a lot of entrenchment within waste management in Oyo State, particularly when I talk about the contractors that were there. When we arrived in Ibadan, there were 453 registered contractors. So 453 different companies registered to collect waste in Ibadan. Yet Ibadan was still being classified as the dirtiest city in Nigeria. So something clearly wasn't correct in the way it was being done. So what we discovered on initial audit was of the 453, maybe only 125 were working. Of that 125, maybe 50 were active. Of that 50, only 30 I would say were any good. Many of them were hiring trucks. In this business, if you're hiring a truck, you can't make money because the cost of renting the truck will wipe out your profit straight away. So, and there was a very common practice that one contractor would collect on a Tuesday and then rent out his truck on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, take it back Monday or Tuesday, and then you'd go on that cycle. Which, in theory isn't a problem, but when you look at the type of trucks, the rickety trucks, they break down a lot. So if he collects his waste on Monday or Tuesday, it's unlikely his truck will be working Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So because it would be some sort of repair would need to be done. So consequently, waste was not being collected from the households. What would then happen is that people would either throw their waste into the canals. If you go to Bode Canal now, they're still doing it. We have an intervention there very soon. But also, they bring their waste to the median. They would expect government to collect it. Now, when we joined, these are World Bank statistics, in that the waste going to the dump site, only something like 30% was being collected by private contractors. 70% was being collected by the government. So private contractors were collecting 100% of the money and only doing 30% of the work. Government doing the lion's share of the work and collecting no money. So it was unsustainable, and that's why we had to intervene. So there was a number of court cases were brought against us. There was a number of frustrations were happening with us. We had somebody putting water in our diesel tanks. All that sort of stuff happened. But when you're making changes, you've got to be headstrong about it. Don't make changes for the sake of making change, but you have to be determined with your vision, get people to buy into your vision, carry them along, and eventually change will happen. I don't want to sound like a politician. I'm not a politician, but it's it's not change for the sake of change. It's the change is good. I think as we move through.
Right. So after the termination of contracts, that's for the private waste contractors, 5th of May 2017, there have still been cases of illegal private waste collectors. Yeah. So what measures are you taking to handle them?
Yeah. So there's, just a note on the termination of the contractors. That was at the end of a very long road. We believe we worked very closely with them, trying to incorporate them into the plan and so on. And it was just sheer stubbornness on their part which led to that termination. When His Excellency decided to terminate the contracts, that we hadn't asked for that. It was something, they took us to court again, and eventually it was frustration, said, okay, enough is enough, we have to go and do something different. But as you say, there are a number of illegal contractors working. There still are a number of illegal contractors working. So they don't have any access to the dump sites. So first of all, anytime they dump their waste, they're dumping illegally. If we catch them, their vehicles are impounded, they are taken to the magistrate. Not only that, but the people they're collecting from are also referred to the magistrate for patronising an illegal PSP. So the fines can mount up quite significantly. In one case we had over £500,000 naira fine for patronising illegal PSP and then dumping their waste illegally in some patch of land down on the expressway. So it still goes on, we know it goes on, but slowly we're stamping it out.